Hey everyone, here's another Comic Clerks video, and this video will contain spoilers, so I'm just letting you know beforehand. Alright, so as you guys all know, I'm still trying to catch up with my Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D, and this episode is The Devils You Know. So we start this episode with two people cooking dinner, and it looks like they're Inhumans because one of them is floating off the ground. And they hear a knock on the door and weren't expecting company, so they rush to the door, and it seems like it's Alicia. If you don't know who Alicia is, she was in the season before. She could copy herself, and that was her power. So she warns them that the Terrigen got out, and they tell her they knew something was happening when they saw Lincoln on the news. And Alicia says they need to stick together, the ones who were there before the Terrigen outbreak. And they asked if she sent an email to them, an email that said exactly what she just said to them. And Alicia has no idea what they're talking about, and she asks to look at it. This is when Lash knocks down the door, and he knocks the two out, and Alicia tries to take him on, and she has no luck at all. So we see the real Alicia is on the plane and feels her clone get killed. This is when Daisy and Mac head in, and we see that all three of them are dead. Daisy pursues Lash. She's on it. She's gung-ho, like she's going to take him out. And Alicia tells Coulson that Lash is there to kill them, and they can't stop him. So we go to Coulson and Bobby, and they're posing as detectives in the apartment and sending people back into their, rooms. And Coulson wants them to gather anything they can. Looks like Alicia went into shock, and Coulson is wondering, where this attack came from because, this was just a simple recruiting mission. He tells Fitz to grab the laptop so they can check out that email. And Bobby tells Coulson Daisy and Matt can use some backup, and he declines her because she's not all the way in 100%. So Coulson tries to radio Daisy, but their radios go in and out, and Mac is upset because he let Daisy talk him into, being on the team, and when he had a garage, awesome tools, and an espresso machine. Poor Mac, man. He just gets dragged into this. So Daisy is wondering why Lash is killing Inhumans. Mac knows why. He tells her, that it's in Lash's instinct. Lash is the great white shark. He kills, eats, and sleeps pretty much. So they hear a sound around the corner, and, they're wondering who's going to take points. So Mac mans up, and, he's like, he's going to go first. So back with Bobby and Fitz, Bobby's found some hair from Lash, and, Fitz is arguing with her about, what bag she puts that kind of evidence in. And him and Simmons have a system that they can't break. So she asks about, Fitz and Simmons' date, and wants to know if Simmons told him anything, and Fitz is wondering what she's talking about. This is when helicopters come in, and they decide it's time for them to head out. So with Mac and Daisy, they're wondering where Lash could have gone. Something as big as him could have, have snuck around them really easily. And this is when a pair of doors seem like they're trying to be forced open. And Mac and Daisy get ready, and, the ATCU burst in. And they all come to a standoff when Rosalind tells them all to stand down. And Coulson shows up and tells them that it's okay, they're here to help. And the ATCU start to search for Lash. And Daisy, she's still upset about the deal Coulson made. And he tells her it's just a means to an end. And I'm like, Daisy, why are you still upset? He made this deal to protect you. Nobody else needed this deal. We made the deal to protect you, but you're upset. So in the Inhumans apartment, the ATCU is carrying the bodies out and searching the place. And Coulson asks Rosalind where they're taking the bodies, and she tells him that it's classified, and it must suck being a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. to be hearing that something is classified. So Coulson feels like Rosalind isn't cooperating, and Rosalind feels like Coulson isn't sharing everything. She asks him how did they find these Inhumans and why wasn't she informed, and he tells her they were informed when they saw the hostile, and she's talking about the two dead Inhumans, because there's no cocoons or anything, and she knows that these two Inhumans, Shane and Lori, have been living there for about 18 months, and she tells Coulson that they were already enhanced before the outbreak, and she wants to know how Coulson found them. And he tells her, they're a friend of a friend, and he tells her their main concern is finding Lash, and she tells her she'll call if she finds anything. So we cut to a scene and Ward and Keeble are checking out the guns that Hunter brought. Keeble is telling him that he took out Spud. And Ward is happy, he might have took out Spud, but he didn't come empty-handed. They're checking out all these guns and stuff. And he's telling Keeble how they're going to bring S.H.I.E.L.D. down. And this is, when we cut to Hunter and May, and they're going over, his job, and May is telling him that he's falling into a trap and he's being sloppy. He tells May, that's why she's here to pick up his slack. And she tells them, what if their lives are at risk? What if there are lives at risk? And he says there's always lives at risk, and tells her about, that he has to take out Ward for Bobby. And May tells him that Ward's life isn't worth Bobby's or his. And she tells him when he finds out the details about the job, to call her. So we get back to S.H.I.E.L.D. and Gardner is watching Alicia through a window, and she doesn't look like she's getting up at all. She's not talking at all. And so on the other side of, I don't know where we went to, but Bobby is telling everyone that Lash is an Inhuman, and Daisy says if he's one of them, she can't believe Mac's shark theory because, if he went through the change and all that, he had to understand them and some point of view. And Coulson agrees and is wondering how Lash is tracking Inhumans down. Bobby wonders, since Alicia knew the Inhumans, maybe Lash did too. This is when Daisy brings up the email, and it seems like the email has a virus attached to it that made it able to track them. Coulson is wondering, did anyone else get this email? And Daisy doesn't know because, they haven't caught that many Inhumans. And the one that they do have, he didn't get the email. Daisy didn't get an email. So they have no idea if any of the other Inhumans got any. So Coulson tells Daisy they need to give this info to the ATCU. And Daisy and Bobby are wondering why they would share this information with them because they got there first and got the laptop before they knew anything about it. And Coulson says that they have Inhumans that they've caught already, and those Inhumans might have got that email. And he just is like, they share information. If they share the information, they'll share more information. And they just have to play ball on this one pretty much. So, and he also wants them to be able to track the virus. So with Simmons, she's having a session with Gardner, and she doesn't want to talk. She's deflecting all Gardner's questions, and he wants to know how Simmons survived during her time away and what drove Simmons to survive. This is when she tells Gardner she's only going to look forward to the future. She has a new project she's working on. She doesn't even want to talk about that stuff. So Gardner tells her that she's in a safe place, and Simmons tells him that he is wrong. So with Coulson, Gardner's caught up with him, and they're arguing about Coulson ignoring his recommendation, and he's upset about him hiding Alicia. And he tells Coulson he's not just going to approve his little superhero team. And Coulson tells him it was just a recruitment mission. There wasn't supposed to be any danger. and Gardner asks Coulson who he's trying to convince, him or himself. This is when May decides to show up, and she comes in and tells Coulson about Hunter. She tells him that Hunter needs more backup and then her, and he's in too deep, and he wants May to come back. And if Gardner's gonna make her uncomfortable, he'll replace him. Coulson wonders, what happened between them. Supposedly it has something to do with May. And Coulson says she's too hard on herself. This is when May jokes about him not wearing a tie. And he jokes back, he's still practicing tying his tie one-handed. You can't get Coulson down for a second. So we go to Bobby and Fitz, and she tells him that the sample is deteriorating, and he wants her to be sure about that. This is when he finds the data on the monolith in Simmons' handwriting. This is when Simmons decides to walk in and yells at Bobby for saying something. Bobby tells her, they're just going over Inhuman DNA. And Fitz is wondering what's going on, and Bobby tells her that Simmons should tell him. So we cut back, May and Gardner, they're arguing about their relationship as Gardner is trying to reconcile with her because he walked away, and May doesn't want to hear any of it. She doesn't want to talk about it. She just heads out. So after that little fight, we get to Daisy and Coulson, and I guess the ATCU did have some Inhumans they captured who had this virus sent to them. And she tells them they were no help because they couldn't track the virus, but it looks like she did. She tracked it to a guy named Dwight Fry, a programmer, and Daisy believes that this may be Lash before he changed. And she wonders why ATCU didn't find this out because he's a government employee, and she believes they might be the one letting him loose. So Coulson believes she's grabbing at straws. She's, another one of her conspiracy theories, and Daisy comes back insinuating that Coulson might have a thing for Rosalind and all that, and he just cuts it off and tells her to go get Mac so they can go get this Dwight guy. So when they get there, the ATCU is already there to head in, and they find Dwight hiding in the closet, and Daisy tells them that they're not here to hurt him. This is when his skin starts to break apart, and he yells at Daisy to get away from him. She knocks him back, and the team runs in, and it looks like Dwight is having a reaction to Daisy. Dwight's body seems to be affected whenever he gets close to an Inhuman. So Rosalind asks him, is that how they find their victims? He finds them, Lash kills them, and Dwight tries to run, and Coulson grabs him with, his new hand and tells him, if he doesn't sit down, he does have a laser finger in his hand. And it looks like Lash, gave Dwight the names, and all he had to do was track the people down, and he tells them that they should be helping Lash, not trying to catch him. Dwight believes that Lash is doing the right thing because he doesn't want to be an Inhuman, and other people who have changed don't want to be Inhumans either. And the ATCU, they take Dwight into custody, and Coulson wants them to take Daisy and Mac because he wants to know what they do with their Inhumans. This is when Rosalind asks Coulson, does he really have a laser finger in his hand? And he tells her that's classified. So back at you with that one, Rosalind. So we get back to S.H.I.E.L.D. and Simmons comes in to apologize to Bobby about how she reacted. And Bobby tells her that she needs to tell people and that Fitz is very worried about her. She tells Simmons that Fitz is driving her crazy and tells her about how he snapped at her about bagging the evidence. Simmons quotes exactly what Fitz says, and Bobby gives her a look, and Simmons, she figures out why that would annoy anybody but them. So Bobby says it's not entirely, Fitz's fault. She's been worried about Hunter for a while, that he might be in trouble. So we go to Hunter, he's being picked up by Kibo, and it's time for his job. So Kibo decides to throw him in the back of the trunk and take him to the boss. So we cut back to Daisy and Mac, and they're in the back of the ATCU truck when Lash decides to show up. He fights Mac, and Lash tosses him, and this is when Daisy sends a shockwave through the truck, sends the truck flying. Don't do that again. That made no sense at all. Why would you do that? You're in a moving vehicle and you want to send an earthquake through it. No, don't do that again. You need more training with those powers. Don't do that again. So Lash drags out Dwight, and Dwight tells him that he only told them the truth because he's merciful, and Lash tells him he's not merciful, he's necessary. And Daisy is watching this whole exchange, and it looks like Lash just walks away and changes back into a human. And I'm wondering why he didn't take out Daisy while he had the chance. You know, he's taking out Inhumans and Daisy's laying right there. So I'm wondering what's up with that, you know. So we get to the hospital, and Mac is waking up and asking Daisy what happened, and she tells him that Dwight was killed by Lash, and he tells her she's lucky Lash, you know, Mac is telling her that she's lucky that Lash didn't come after her. And she tells him that, you know, she saw him change back into a person. But she didn't really get a good look at him because, you know, she was practically passing out. And she tells him Lash could be anybody, you know, anybody they know. So this is when Rosalind decides to walk in and is wondering where Coulson is because she can't reach him. And Daisy tells, you know, her that Coulson is on his own mission. So we get to S.H.I.E.L.D. and Coulson is getting ready to head out to help Hunter. This is when Bobby finds out, and she is really upset about this. And you know, Fitz says he knows the feeling because, you know, he doesn't like there's a secret being kept from him also. So we get to Hunter, and he's being pulled out of the trunk where he sees, you know, they're at Hydra's new hideout. So he's being taken in and, you know, looking at the stuff. And this is when Ward walks out. You know, he's busted pretty much. He's pretty much busted. So Hunter grabs a gun, you know, he starts shooting. And Ward tells Kibo to look for any S.H.I.E.L.D. enforcement. Tells him, you know that they gotta be S.H.I.E.L.D. there, you know, surrounding them. Make sure there's no one there. Kibo says there's no one else there. And Ward yells at Hunter and tells him he knows he's not that stupid that he came here all cowboy-like. And Hunter throws back at him, at least he didn't shoot his own girlfriend on purpose. And Ward was not happy about that. And he says he was hoping that Bobby was coming for him because it would have been more of a challenge. And Hunter tells him, you know, that he heard that it took 2 of them last time with torture to handle Bobby. And Ward wishes he had rigged the door, you know, with a grenade. And this is when May shows up and starts taking out Hydra agents. We all know how May does. She's awesome. And Ward is happy that May is there because, you know, he doesn't have to track them down. This is when May calls Coulson, wondering where they are. And Coulson tells her they're about 20 minutes out. So Ward tells May, you know, he's glad that he doesn't have to draw this out. And he tosses her a phone, and it's a feed of Gardner. And he tells them, you know, if they don't back off, you know, they will kill Gardner. And then we cut to, you know, Gardner's in a shop, and he's being cornered by Hydra agents. And he wonders what's going on. And so we cut back to, you know, to the Hydra base, and Ward tells May, he gives May his word that, you know, they'll back off, they won't kill him, and just if they let them go. So Hunter tells May that a lot of people will die if they don't stop Ward here, and May doesn't look like she's going for that. So Hunter tells May he's sorry and starts to fire at Ward. This is when Ward and Kibo make their escape, but Hunter clips Ward in the leg. May is not happy at all with Hunter, and we see, you know, Gardner's phone ringing, you know, with May's call, and we see blood everywhere, and then we see Alexander running out, and he's setting the shop on fire. So we get to Simmons, you know, and she's working on something, and Fitz brings her a drink, and he asks Simmons why she is trying to fix the portal after everything she's been through. And Simmons tells him, she needs to get back there and she needs his help to do it. Simmons is ready to tell the truth about everything that happened on the other planet. And, I'm really excited to see what happened on the other planet. So, like I said, I'm still playing catch up with these episodes. So, bear with me, you guys. So, tell me what you liked about this episode, what you didn't like about this episode. What you're hoping to see in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Alright, you guys. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks.